Hello, Third Stall Garage friends. My name is Doug. This is going to be episode 4 of the resurrection of Ruby, the 2010 Subaru Forester. And this episode is about the dismantling of the parts car named Party. So I think we named this the Harvest Party. Yes, bad dad jokes. I have an amazing armrest right here that I'm so proud to have. It is a EJ 253 boxer engine that came out of that car. So this episode is going to be, how did we get to this point of getting it out? What did we learn along the way? Did it go smoothly? Did it not? We'll hopefully get it to the point where the engine is out and we can start harvesting the parts off of it. After the intro, we're going to dive right in. I'm going to start tearing parts out and we'll see how it goes. Thanks for being part of Third Stall Garage. If you'd hit the like button, that would be great. If you haven't watched the previous episodes 1, 2, or 3, I encourage you to do that. Have a great day. Thanks for being part of this. Let's dive into it. So making progress. Airbox is out. Tube to the big plastic housing there. I don't know what it's called. Battery is out. Working on getting the radiator and cooling fans out. I've drained the oil. It's draining now. Coolant is next. It'll kind of leave me the engine in the middle. I turned the camera off for a bit because I was working on taking these plugs off of the fans. I was certain I needed to press on that tab and that would lever down away from the camera. And after 15 minutes of trying, unlike most of the rest of the plugs, this one you need to pull up on instead of squeezing. Once I figured that out, that one and that one came out pretty easy. So I'm gonna climb underneath and we're gonna drain the coolant out. I'm curious to look at the oil and look at the coolant to see if there's any mixing between the two, which would be signature of a bad head gasket. And then really that should clear us out around the engine and we can start working on the underside, take the exhaust. Oh, there's a few things down there. Take that off and then we'll start working on the rest from the top here. Be back in a minute. All right, it's been a minute. I'm back. As you can see, condenser, radiator, cooling fans are out. Tons of open space here now. So I will start tomorrow night because I'm wrapping up for the night on the exhaust. There's a couple mounts from the bottom of the transmission. I'm sorry, from the bottom of the frame up into, there's some engine mounts. Dog bone right there. It's got to come out in the back. And then I can start unbolting the bell housing of the transmission from the bell housing of the engine block. I believe also we get a flashlight. The starter right there has to come out and get disconnected. And then there are some random ground straps and things like that that will need to come out. But it's, you know, I'm maybe hour and a half into this so far. And I'm hopeful tomorrow night to maybe get the rest of this puppy out. Thanks for watching on the journey and the adventure of rescuing and what did I say earlier? I was trying to come up with some cool, snappy tagline. Resurrection of Ruby, something like that. Have a good night. Be kind to one another. Last night we gutted kind of the outside of the engine. Tonight we're going to tackle taking the exhaust and engine mounts off the bottom, and we're going to start disconnecting her from the transmission starter. And if things go well, soon she'll be hanging from a hoist above her. So join us for the adventure. Let's see if we can pull an engine out. Here we're working on taking the exhaust off the bottom. I think there are 3 14mm nuts on here that maybe they're oil soaked enough from the leaking valve cover. You can see the oil drips here where looks like it's leaking down from the side or the top or something. Let's see how this one is. Not bad either. Have not tried the other side yet. Nor do I know if we can see. Oh yeah, we can get at this one. All right, now I'm basically going to do the same thing on this side. Hi. So I haven't taken these apart before. I'd like to disconnect and take this part of the exhaust out. So I'm going to see if there's a way to disconnect it. Looks like there's a joint right back here. And take a better look at that and see if there's a way we can get that apart. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you or not. Dealing with slightly less than ideal camera situations. All right, so I'm working on these 3 or 14mm nuts, and should separate this. The first one seemed pretty tight, so we're going to spray them with a little PB Blaster, knowing that that can't ever hurt. All right, let's see if we can knock the can over and get these loose. It's either breaking or coming loose. I'm gonna go with coming loose. One down, 2 to go. One more down, one more show. Two. Ow. Seemed like it came, but it didn't. It's tricking me. I think that one's coming. Surprisingly, once that's loose, I can turn it with my fingers. Surprised they're not more rusted than that. So I will pull all of this exhaust out, see what shape it's in. I don't know. You know, if it's good shape, I'll put it on the shelf.
or I'll put it in the Facebook Marketplace ad, and you know, there might be somebody looking for an exhaust. This has got all the heat shields on it. Looks like somebody did put some of these stainless steel hose clamps on it. From what I gather, these heat shields are notorious for rattling. So putting a bunch of clamps on them would definitely quiet them down. Not a bad repair. So once I get the exhaust loose and off, I think my next job is right up in here. There are two 14mm nuts that mount this to the bottom of the engine block. All right, I'm gonna take these 6 14mm nuts off that hold the exhaust flange on to the bottom. I'm gonna get a drill. This is way too slow. And this is getting boring for you. All right, all 6 bolts, nuts, 9 nuts are out. In theory, something should fall on me or wiggle loose. Oh, I do have an oxygen sensor plugged in. 2 of them. All right, I gotta unplug those. There's always more. All right, we got 2 oxygen sensors that come up here. You just push this little tab and they pull off, and you push this tab and they pull off. So easy. Of course, that's 5 minutes after wrestling with them and then deleting the video because it looks really dumb, and then you figure out how to do it, but it takes 2 hands. Looks like I should snip these off of there, and then maybe that exhaust piece will come off. And she's out. So 3 bolts and 3 nuts on that side, 3 nuts on that side, and then 3 there. The only reason it came out hard was just all 9 of them were kind of getting hung up on threads at the same time. So it took a little putting the nut back on the stud and then pounding on it. Except not on this, over on this piece to drive that out. All right, now underneath here are, hold on. Edit. All right, underneath here, there is the, I don't know, it seems like it's a cradle. Underneath here, there's a cradle that goes underneath, and that right there is a rubber engine mount, and there's a nut right there on each side. Should be one in there somewhere that needs to come off. That's coming off next. Then I think I'm done down here for a little bit. All right, you saw a little bit of the work on the bottom. Hi. I missed, there's a ground strap on each side from the cylinder head to the frame wall. One of those broke off, the other I unbolted. Now moving to the top side. I think my plan of attack is take the alternator out. So we can get you a spot where you can see a little better. You really don't care about seeing me. The alternator, AC compressor, I've already drained the system. Pull that and the hoses out. Then move around the back. We've got vacuum hoses, the dog bone, the main engine harness, the starter, and another ground strap. And then I think I'll be able to start disconnecting the torque converter, probably roll this thing forward because my hoist is over here, hook up chains to it, then start unbolting the bell housing from the engine to the transmission. So I'm going to put you on time lapse and we'll see how far we can get tonight. Tonight we hope to get this engine out. I need to take the throttle body off of here. That will give me access to a little access panel that will allow me to take 4 bolts off of the torque converter, and then the engine should be free. We will move the car forward under the hoist right there so that we can hook up a chain and lift the engine out. Last night I spent probably 45 minutes on the last nut to come off on the driver's side of the engine to transmission bell housing. It's kind of hidden right behind the driver's side axle shaft. I could not get a straight shot to it with a socket or a wrench. I was on the edge of stripping it out, starting to get frustrated and anxious. It was past the time I wanted to be inside and go to bed. But after about 45-50 minutes, I finally got it out. I am happy to show you, this is the 14mm nut that was my nemesis. The icing on the cake is, I was watching another video today of just double checking that I didn't miss any steps. And the person making that video commented on how that nut is the only hard part in this whole process, and it made me feel very good to hear that somebody else admit that that was a hard part. So all right, I'm going to try to set the camera up looking down on the engine and we'll get to it again. Okay, I'm excited and nervous. I think I have everything unhooked. For my birthday, I got a load leveler, which allows you to crank the angle back and forth. Got my electric hoist hooked up to it. The 2 lift points are both fairly equally tense or tight. I think that will help me lift it straight up. And I know it's got to go up and clear those studs that are on that lower engine mount. And then it's got to come off of the torque converter, and I think there's a long stud or 2 that go into the transmission mount and off of the shaft. I've never done this part before. I'm a little nervous. We'll see how it goes. Got an electric hoist with a remote control to kind of lift by. I doubled it back, not for strength, but just to slow down the lift on it a little bit. So let's start going up. All right, I see it starting to wiggle a little bit. See the transmission coming up. Now, I just got to figure out how to get it to let go of the transmission. I don't know if there's a way to pry on it or not. It is not separate at all yet. My battery's going dead. Let me get a new battery. Oh. Let's get a different flashlight. Let me see how it looks on the bottom. Okay, so there's two mounting studs on the bottom that go through that bracket engine mount. They have not cleared the engine mount yet, so that makes me think I gotta go a little higher yet. Dude, that's a long ways up. This is the part where I wonder if I missed a bolt. I'm gonna double check. All right, so here's my latest theory. I think the engine is bound up on the transmission a bit, so I put a floor jack underneath the transmission to take up that weight. And then I've taken my hoist and just gone up and down with it a little bit. And I've got a gap between the engine and the transmission now. So that's a good sign. Oh, it's prying off. At least this side is. So I do need to get it to come all the way forward off of those bolts. Sorry, I'm in your way. Which I think may just take a little finagling. Kind of seems like it is, my gap is a little wider at the top between the engine and the transmission. So I want to lift the front up a little bit, which makes me I'm going to go this way with it, I think. Oh yeah, she's coming. Oh, look at that, baby. Oh yeah. I love this. I suppose this can get old if you do this for a living, but when that's not the case, this is cool. She is free. Look at that. I'm excited, can you tell? By the way, this is the first boxer style engine that I pulled out of a car. No, that's not true. I pulled the Beetle engine out. Makes me wish it was a Porsche engine though. That would be even cooler. All right, let's go up with this puppy. Looks to be free. Going up. Look at that. She's peeing a little bit on my floor. A little bit of coolant coming out yet. Alright, now I need to figure out... I gotta figure out how to get the car out of the way so I can get it down on an engine stand. One of the intentions that I had with installing this hoist is I don't have a whole lot of room to navigate with a cherry picker, an engine puller, and hi Dale. There's Dale. Say hi to Dale. In the shop, nor do I have much room to store one, so I thought if I had a hoist on the ceiling, it would keep it out of the way. I can pull the engine now, and then the thought was I should be able to just roll it to the side. My cord's getting caught. Like so. And I can lower it down and try to mount it to an engine stand. So let's lower her down. Make sure I'm clear of the car. I need to figure out, I'd hoped to use these bolts that came out of the bell housing. I don't know if I need spacers between my mounting arms or not, but I'll work on that and show you what I ended up with. So I'm getting it on. I'm using spacers so I can use the bolts. This one I needed a couple washers because it felt like the bolt was bottoming out in the end of the hole. The spacers are 1/2-inch drive sockets, so they're all the same height and nice and strong. I don't know how critical this is, but I want the engine to be fairly centered on the stand. As you can see, it moves back and forth a little bit. So I've got it right about there. 4 arms all attached. That feels pretty good. I'm gonna tighten her up. All right, she is on the stand and free. Get this out of here. Bring it down to the other side. I got an engine to rebuild. Look at that. Boxer engine on the stand. All right, I think that's gonna wrap up this episode. Next, we'll probably be starting the disassembly of that, inspection, figuring out where the oil leaks are and what needs to be done. Once I tear it apart and assess it, I'm gonna then probably order a full engine reseal kit, determine whether it needs a new timing belt kit. The sticker on this one said it was only like 8,000 miles old. I'll see if the belt shows that, if it looks like the water pump's been replaced, check the bearings on the idler pulleys and things like that. Order the parts that I need and start working on it. At the same time, I'm gonna start posting parts on Facebook Marketplace off the rest of the car because there's not much else that we need. So hopefully try to recoup some costs. Thanks for being part of Third Stall Garage. Have a great night.
Be kind to everyone and have a good evening.